I've got a score to settle with Gran Turismo. I've played every game but never finished one, even though it's my favourite circuit racer. So today that changes with Retro Achievements. After a suitably cinematic opening, I jumped straight into arcade mode to warm my tyres. I chose normal difficulty as it had been a while and dived into high speed ring. As I became reacquainted with the game, I was immediately struck by how sensitive the handling is. I could feel the MX-5's weight shift through each bend and instinctively knew how to react through the controller. First victory hours, I shifted to hard difficulty, which I'd never tried before, and repeated high speed ring, surprising myself by winning by the skin of my teeth. To save yourself some time, it's best to stick with hard mode. Hitting Trial Mountain allows the model to truly sing. The undulating, winding roads and bad camber on certain corners forced me to consider my racing line and brake earlier. Arcade mode's unlock system is a bit weird. Clearing each course with all 3 car classes unlocks an extra track, and repeating that there unlocks a new dealer for arcade mode. The Honda Civic 3-door is the C-Class powerhouse. Clubman's Stage Route 5 introduces us to nighttime racing on a raised road surrounded by illuminated high-rises. The street lighting and environment-mapped reflections on the car left a lasting impression on me, even if they didn't change in the tunnel. Oddly enough, Gran Turismo's roots lie in parts of the engine from MotorToon Grand Prix, the cartoon racer made by the team when they were known as Polis Entertainment. 5 years and $5 million was what it took to bring the real driving simulator to life, and 10.85 million copies sold showed Yamauchi and his team it was worth every penny. With all 4 courses unlocked and then all 4 dealerships, we scored completionist for arcade mode, but I still needed to win each daytime course without going off track. I quickly discovered that the edge of the wheel barely flirting with the trackside lawn is enough to fail this, so make sure you take a clean and conservative approach to ensure a blade of grass doesn't steal 5 minutes of your life. 6 more achievements in the bag, and it was time for the bit everyone warned me about, the gold license tests, something I'd never achieved before. If you haven't done so yet, don't forget to enable analog pedal control in the options menu. I knew getting all golds in each license class would net me a bonus car for each one, and anxious not to spend credits too soon, I committed myself to getting all golds before moving on. I had no idea I was condemning myself to license test purgatory. B1 and B2 lulled me into a false sense of cockiness. This isn't that bad, I thought to myself, expressing woefully misplaced confidence. Stopping and starting was simply a case of knowing where to brake. All my gold runs are in a video link below on my extra channel. B3. Oh, how it humbled me. The test that I'm now calling Bastard Cubed took over 5 hours of my life. Oh, how naive I'd been. 1 corner, under 30 seconds. It sounds easy on paper, but this test crucified me. Bronze, bronze, bronze. I scraped a silver a couple of times, but nothing I tried was working. I turned to Retro Achievements. Manual transmission did it for me. Use manual transmission, it's way easier. One small problem, I only have an automatic license in real life. I tried manual, I gave it a go, but I f***ing sucked. Half a second slower. I studied several runs on YouTube and I've linked one below. I'd hit a wall and I had no idea how to pass it. Then, after 4.5 hours, I finally started to get it. Try and keep a smooth racing line. Turning in full lock was killing my exit speed. The key is being extremely smooth on the turning and acceleration in the second half of the corner. With automatic transmission, you need the power up the hill. After the pain, frustration and doubt, I finally did it. I couldn't believe it. Exactly the target time. Gran Turismo had violently shaken me and refused to let go until I upped my game. B4 again featured the corner I now know better than my own mother, but thankfully the principle is the same. A gentle tap of the brakes between the 2 signs and a smooth exit, and I wasn't subjected to Groundhog Day again. B5 fell quickly and B6 came down to not losing too much speed on the final corner. The memory of B3 still in my head, I started to realise the true beauty of the license tests and how they really do improve your driving. Without B3, I wouldn't have walked through B7, and despite B8 being a lap of high speed ring, after a slight mishap I actually came away with gold and the B license on my first full try. The startlingly beautiful Dodge concept car had me salivating for the career races. If you're enjoying the ride, please subscribe. At 10,000 I'm doing Metal Gear Solid, a game only 214 people have mastered. despite over 27,500 players, voted for by you, the viewers. In what I'm assuming is Polyphony's attempt to send me into a shame spiral, it's that corner again, though thankfully being waterboarded for 5 hours moulded me into a better driver. A2 was easy, reliant on acceleration restraint at the apex. My confidence was again rising. And then came A3. Ass cubed. At least we're in a punchy little RX-7 this time. The game doesn't tell you that the extremely long lead up is crucial. A gentle line is essential so you don't drop speed and fail before even reaching the straight. 2 hours into this one and I'd hit another wall. I finally got the run by carrying speed and braking hard as soon as the car straightened up, then swinging full lock just before releasing the brakes. The car will go into a slide but carry some of the speed through. I kept acceleration and turning around 75% for the second part of the bend before easing the steering and accelerating fully on exit. I felt a little overwhelmed at this point. A4 introduces us to the wonderful Nissan Skyline GTR. The GTR became one of my favourite cars and one day I'd like to own one, though I'm happy with my second-hand Mini for now and looking forward to trying one in Gran Turismo 2. What game made you fall in love with a car? The key to unlocking gold is exit speed on the final bend. An hour of failure led me to discover the gentlest tap on the brake with a tight line onto the yellow hatching is followed by a tiny dip that compresses the suspension enough to award extra grip to carry more speed onto the straight. Grand Valley's blind tunnel entrance was next. Finding the right line through was a new challenge with every vehicle. Exit the S-bend tightly to quickly shift direction, forcing the car to connect with the rumble strip. Sticking to around 60 miles per hour is the sweet spot. My earlier frustration had evaporated as I now understood each test was a mini puzzle. I was proud to be clearing the lot with automatic gears, considering so many comments said manual was a lot easier. The final test is all about speed into that same corner we dated with the RX-7 but extended to the next hairpin. Timing is very tight, so don't be afraid to test the Supra RZ's limits. I scored the A license with a bronze early. My autistic obsession to finish what I'd started led to diminishing returns, and watching my time start to get worse, I told myself that sometimes it's best to just stop. I was relieved the following day to discover the practice hadn't gone to waste. I was definitely developing a deep understanding of the driving model as my first attempt of the day scored gold with renewed confidence. Winning all gold gifted me the TRD 3000 GT, whose unfortunate lettering meant I couldn't unlearn the name Turd. 2 cars, 0 credits but 15 hours spent on licenses, and I needed a break, so I decided to hop into the concept car for the Sunday Cup. The orange-red curves and playful handling inspired me so much I called her Linda. Linda punished my foes with a laughable qualifying lead for pole position. Racing with Linda spoke to me. Gran Turismo's vehicles have personality. Few series came close. It makes test sessions important because you get to know each car through experience before applying it in qualifying. I'll admit, I didn't realise quite how overpowered I was winning Sunday Cup and unlocking possibly the least exciting car I've ever seen in the process. Maybe give it to Dad for Christmas? Eager to try my other not the Demio, I opted to get the spot races out of the way. My Turd was an absolute beast and the competition barely kept up. Keen to add some kind of challenge, I borrowed Dad's Demio for Autumn Ring Mini, which was an instant reminder that car choice matters, qualifying last. I started the race anyway and felt like I was driving in Wales post 20mph speed limit as I slowly worked my way through the pack. It certainly was more of a challenge, but given I had a bigger sense of joy looking through Aldi's reduced section, I put the Demio behind me and switched back to my beautiful Linda. I helped her tame Trial Mountain, cheering from the sidelines like a slightly unhinged dance mum as she won the race and prize. Linda's next feat was the final spot race at Deep Forest Raceway, my favourite track in the game. There was something about the distant sunset complementing her vermilion contours and the flow through the forest that reminded me why Gran Turismo is PlayStation's best-selling franchise. Hitting the canopy-covered straight and barreling into the penultimate corner before a final push as hard as you dare corner that mandates a perfect line is only rivaled by Trial Mountain's final chicane. Linda performed admirably. Don't worry, Linda, you can eat tonight. Keen to avoid spending credits and not realising Linda's lightweight construction had her punching well above love her 213 horsepower, I switched to the 3000 GT to take a stab at the Clubman Cup. Despite feeling competent, my jaw dropped at being nearly 9 seconds down on pole. I had an outrageously tough time before realizing winning was basically impossible. I later discovered switching to racing soft tyres transforms the handling and is by far the most cost-effective solution to improving times. Continuing my hunt for a tournament I could compete in with my unmodified turd, I entered the FR Challenge. Despite being unable to qualify anything above last, my driving skill and consistency let me claw my way into first on Grand Valley East. The remaining courses were enough for this turd to float to the top, winning FR cars and a Nissan Silvia Qs. The International A license tests feature a bunch of time trials for the TVR Griffith and Dodge Viper GTS. My anticipation at being utterly destroyed was unfounded, and ultimately I had an easier time here than I was expecting. I was fully immersed in the immense satisfaction of running laps and shaving tenths of a second off with each attempt. The TVR Griffith is a particularly fun drive as it has a tendency to lose grip on corners and as such requires real focus to control. Winning in the TVR is largely about restraint with speed, as sliding costs time, particularly on exiting corners. This is experienced to the extreme in Special Stage Route 11, a 2-minute plus monster that features heavily in the game's closing chapters. With most of the course looking similar, it takes real dedication to master. What became known as the Chicane of Death had me colliding with the wall at over 100 miles per hour well into the final race of the game. The Dodge Viper GTS is a heavier and more powerful assignment, though I didn't have nearly as much trouble with it. The key here is being conservative when coming out of corners, as the 449 horsepower guarantees spinning out for anyone not handling with care. Crossing the finish line in the red Viper GTS and unlocking my first ever 100-point achievement with only gold was a moment I'll never forget. The International A license and Nismo 400R prize car feeling almost secondary to my first ever clear of Gran Turismo's gold license tests. Raquel and I had a rematch with the Clubman Cup, and between us the ego had returned, my stash of gold license tests living rent-free in my boiler cupboard. I finished qualifying in 6th. You let me down, Raquel. There was only one solution, and after a little online poking, I decided Linda was up to the next leg. I spent 15,000 on her racing softs and didn't look back. I anticipated some improvement but was stunned to win every single race. Linda ate up the competition and I finally won the Clubman Cup. You bet your life Raquel's upgrade was next. Racing softs, and Raquel stormed through the 4-wheel drive championship for another achievement and trophy. Like a total div, I plunged a bunch of money into the Demio in the hope that it would be race-worthy for the lightweight sports battle, but unfortunately it was still unbelievably shit. So I reloaded my save and bought a second-hand 3-door Civic, knowing it would serve me twice. With added racing softs and a Stage 1 turbo, the Civic was more than competitive enough for me to get max points for lightweight and FF cars without a sniff more tuning. Keen to avoid buying more cars, I gave Raquel a glow up while Linda wasn't watching. A Stage 3 weight reduction and Stage 1 turbo made the GT Cup an easy win. I felt a tingle of excitement run down my spine. I knew Chase was going to smash through something, and that something was the US vs Japan Championship. Apart from endurance, every remaining event was on racing softs. The competition really kicks up a gear here with 5 3-lap races, and you can't be asleep at the wheel. Another trophy and the credits were rolling in. The game was thanking us for sticking with it, and the FTO slaughtered UK vs Japan, gifting us one of the absolute greatest. I was relishing this little victory lap. Sephiroth won UK vs US and unlocked Roxy, who won the GT World Cup. Despite the credits, we're not done yet. We unlock a taste of a 60 frames per second future, and Sephiroth took on the Megaspeed Cup. This is the only series featuring the test track and is the only place drafting becomes vital to succeed. Unfortunately, there's no achievement for hitting 200 miles per hour, and it was surprisingly tense as I entered the final corner in second. But Sephiroth being Sephiroth, he wouldn't surrender and went on to dominate. With only 5 events left, we're tasked with picking up a normal car next. No upgrades, not even racing softs. I thought I'd go iconic GT1, and that left room for only one, Bruce. With evenly matched cars and 5 laps a race, there was never a time where I felt the win was given, and the pressure caused some genuine unforced errors. Poor Bruce. Normal car done, and at this point I had more money than sense and decided I'd buy another icon. A fully upgraded Gertrude made tuned car an easy victory. I was apprehensive about the remaining 3 races, given a muck-up could mean an hour were wasted. Being a millionaire, I bought the GTO LM because I could and entered the 300km trial mountain endurance. Gary was a joy to drive if only for one race, and I opted for hard racing tyres. It's amazing how I could literally feel the tyres warm up then subtly degrade from lap to lap. Entering the pits, the car levitates for a second because PS1 ain't pushing a polygonal team, and we're dropped to re-enter the race. I felt a mild panic going down to second after nearly 40 minutes, but by the time they pitted, I gained such a huge advantage, winning was easy, with 300,000 credits and a non-too-shabby Supra GT to boot. I gleefully ignored it and blew 500,000 credits on the store's version because 9 horsepower and nicer paintwork was enough for me. You're all mine, Stu. 2 trophies left and we enter All Night One. All night. The racing hards easily got me to half-time, and with that under my belt, I thought I was on to an easy finish. All Night 2 only allows road cars, and after reading this comment, I gave Bruce some racing softs and attacked the final challenge with all I had. But with me being overtired, Bruce didn't do so well. The chicane of death lived up to its name. The following day, I promised Bruce no more physical beatings, and we set out to end the game. Thanks C Raccoon 23 for saving me some time, as earlier I tried with a Skyline R33 and its handling was so bad I left it out. And no, it didn't get a name either. Not sorry. With the finish line and All Night 2 as well as champion for our clean sweep, I can't quite believe after nearly 30 years I've mastered Gran Turismo. Don't forget to like and hype. Tana Tronesav, Nostar.